Welcome. It's Indisputable. I'm your host, Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than Rebel HQ contributor and host of We Gon' Be Aight, Mr. Jeff Wiggins. Should be a fascinating breakdown. Top story of the day, Sarah Ice Queen Palin wants to be another losing vice presidential candidate. So every few years, ladies and gentlemen, based on the legend, the Ice Queen is thawed out in order to make another political appearance. Here it is.
You know, for him, it's going to be the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm. Does he think DeSantis jumps in?
DeSantis doesn't need to. I envision him as our president someday, but not right now. Everybody I speak with in Florida, they all love him. And he does set the tone for, I'd say, every other governor in the nation. I think he's our best governor. And he should stay governor for a bit longer. He's young, you know. He has decades ahead of him where he can be our president.
You know what's terrific? Sarah Sanders, I should say. I'm sorry, Sarah Sanders delivered a wonderful response to the State of the Union speech. She's fantastic. She, I believe, bumped herself up to everyone's VP ticket choice.
Good.
What do you think? What's the best Republican ticket, the best chance to unseat Joe Biden, whoever runs?
Well, I think, and I'm assuming it's going to be Trump. It's a nominee. Trump needs to choose somebody who, like him, has nothing to lose. What more can they do to that person personally, or verbal attacks or anything else on family? That person has been through the ringer, so they know what they're getting into. And that person then can just focus on doing what's right for the people, actually governing how they campaign, doing what they're expected to do as elected.
Oh, yeah, she's talking about herself. Is this not ironic? She's doing an interview, and the person hosting the show says, hey, you know, Sarah Sanders, she is now everybody's VP pick. Just imagine how Palin was burning up on the inside in that moment. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you saw her literally prostitute herself politically on national television. But it gets deeper. Here it is.
Are you describing yourself?
Not necessarily. However, I'll tell you, the opportunity that I had to run with someone who wasn't as common sense constitutional conservative as and I think the majority of Republicans were.
Oh, well played, Sarah, like a true Karen. She says, no, I'm not talking about myself, but since you mentioned it, now that I think about it more, I may be the one. Yes. I may be Neo. Can we take a walk down memory lane with Sarah Palin?
You ready for a commander-in-chief who will let our warriors do their job and go kick ISIS ass? People are looking at Putin as one who wrestles bears and drills for oil. They look at our president as one who wears mom jeans. Some of their skirmishes that have been going on for centuries, where they're fighting each other and yelling Allah Akbar. Like I've said before, let them duke it out and let Allah sort it out. I don't want to talk about these issues till he brought them up. In fact, they've been wearing this political correctness kind of like a suicide vest. Uncle Sam, I do not like his healthcare scam. I do not like this spying, man. I do not like, oh yes we can.
That, oh yes we can, at the end. Listen, I need Sarah Palin to get into this race so I can see commercials like that against her. This is going to be more exciting than I imagined. Sarah Palin wants to be the vice presidential running mate of Donald Trump. this is actually quite normative within mainstream politics. What happens is that each camp, each possible presidential camp will say things like, listen, you know you're on the short list to be the VP choice for this particular candidate. They usually tell between 20 to 50 people they are on this list. What do those people do? They then start engaging their network. Hey, put me on TV and allow me to interview for this particular job. And that is exactly what Sarah Palin, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others are doing. Now, it is fascinating. Sarah Palin is talking about somebody needs to remain governor when she resigned her post early. And then she decided to run politically not too long ago, and she is a loser in those battles. Let me remind you, Sarah Palin lost. She lost a special election in her own state and a general election last year to be Alaska's at-large representative in Congress. It does not bode well for her political prospects. Now, she can't even carry Alaska. She cannot carry a congressional district for Alaska. She cannot carry the state she was once governor in. What is the benefit of having an individual who literally has lost the ability to fundraise within the Republican Party, is no longer a factor in influencing conservative outcomes throughout the country? And let's be 100, she is probably the reason why the late McCain did so bad. I still think McCain would have lost. All right, my dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
So what Sarah Palin said during that interview is the equivalent of saying, well, I'm not single, but if the right person is asking, then yeah, I am available. Which, by the way, so the highlights of the lowlights from Sarah Palin over the years, I could have sworn at least one or two of those was Tina Fey, but I could be wrong. She says stuff that outrageous, and it just goes to show how well Tina Fey was at being casted and portraying her in what we know as satire. With that said, this isn't satire, like throwing herself out there to make herself available in order to become VP. That's not satire. Like, is it? She's not joking about this, which is actually weird, considering that, like, again, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is available. Carrie Lake also has made herself available. So is she just throwing herself at Trump at this point? Like, hey, catch me, I'm falling. Like, is that what this is?
Yeah, and let me say this. I don't know if it was a slip or possibly something more. But during that interview, she said, and we are going to, he is going to, kind of insinuating that the decision has been made. But listen, even if Donald Trump has told her, oh yeah, I'm going to pick you, he has probably said that to all of the young ladies who would like to run as his VP pick, knowing Donald Trump. And if you fall for it, ladies, at this point, it's kind of on you, all right? You know the guy's a liar. Okay, Charlie Kirk, ladies and gentlemen, says that white men are continuing to not get a fair shake in the United States of America, and he's sick and tired of it. Here it is.
Not a single member of the Biden regime would dare to go to this portion of Ohio and breathe in the air because they know it's dangerous. They know that it is actively poisoning the citizens of Eastern Ohio. So why is it that they kind of shrug their shoulders and they say, yeah, okay, whatever? It's very simple. It's because the war on white people continues. Why would you care for the white working class voters in Eastern Ohio? You haven't cared about them in other reasons or other portions, and I will prove it to you. If this train derailment happened in downtown Atlanta, in the densely populated black neighborhoods, this would be the #1 news story. It would be Flint Water Crisis 2.0. There would be clamoring and activism and talks for reparations. And Buttigieg, meanwhile, is out there saying, listen, while this derailment is happening, while the act of poisoning is happening, he's saying, look, the problem is that workers are too white.
We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level.
So Buttigieg is out talking about how workers are too white. For the last couple of years, I have been warning about this crusade against white people, and people shrug their shoulders and say, oh, Charlie, why does that matter? I could tell you why it matters. When there's a crisis now and the leaders hate working class whites, they're not going to scramble to save your life. They'll lie to you and tell you to go back home while you're poisoned.
Fascinating. Charlie Kirk, let's be honest, dear brother. The only person who has a job because of the color of his skin is you. Let me put it another way. If I had your talent, Charlie Kirk, I would be one thing: unemployed. All right. Let's put up the picture full mass here. The mediocre Charlie Kirk says there is a war on black men. On the Monday edition of his show, he claimed that the lack of attention by President Biden to the situations connected to white people and white communities is an indication of something even more sinister: white genocide. Isn't this interesting? And he directed his anger at the Secretary of Transportation over a conference held on Monday, where Pete Buttigieg said something really simple: I believe in diversity. Now I'm going to draw a parallel in just a moment. In the Secretary's criticism of non-diversity in the workforce, he talked about reflection of community, having a workforce and a local community that reflects the local community, something that Republicans have actually championed a time before. While Kirk took his criticism to the realm of conspiracy, progressives are demanding that U.S. Transportation Secretary improve rail safety regulations in response to the unfolding public health disaster in East Palestine, Ohio. We've covered this, which critics say was entirely avoidable. That's right, it's an infrastructure issue. Who took money out of that? Republicans did. Who wanted more money for it? Progressives did. Who wanted more jobs because of this infrastructure dynamic needed in our country? Progressives. Who wanted those jobs to be, paying jobs that took care of your actual bills, called living wages? Progressives did. You see, Charlie Kirk, if you actually analyze what you're saying, you will realize that the conservative movement you are a part of championed the various policies that you are now against. The progressives are the ones who said more money needs to be allocated to these programs in order to prevent these disasters from happening. And when did it become a bad thing to have a community proud of its diversity? What was that bad? There's more. Buttigieg made his first public statement on Monday night, 10 days after the 150 car derailment that was on the 3rd of February, led to the release of highly dangerous chemicals into the air and the soil. Once again, something we are against. Let's go to Jeff Hoser, executive director of the Revolving Door Project, said Tuesday in a statement, and I quote, "The Obama administration attempted to prevent dangerous derailments like the one you just saw by mandating better brake systems on freight trains." But he also noted the effort was weakened due to what? Corporate pressure. First, by writing in many exemptions to the proposed rules, and then under Trump, by repealing the requirement altogether. Once again, Charlie Kirk, if you did your research, you would know that the genesis of your complaint comes directly from corporate interest and your beloved former president, Donald Trump. There's more. Recent reporting from The Lever revealed that the Department of Transportation has no intention of reinstating or strengthening the brake rule rescinded under Trump. Additionally, The Lever reports that the train was not being regulated as a high hazard flammable train, despite it clearly being both high hazard and flammable. These types of failures to protect the public are invited by perpetual lax enforcement and laziness toward even getting back to the too low regulatory standards under Obama. He also condemned Buttigieg for continuing the legacy of his predecessor. Norfolk Southern's environmental disaster is the latest in a long string of corporate malfeasance committed right under the secretary's nose, and I agree. He also observed, referring to the company that owns the derailed train, as I've warned before, corporations do not respect Buttigieg as a regulator. He added, and I quote, Buttigieg should call out the brake rule repeal for the horrendous decision it was. Start working to implement a new rule. Take them to task and push back on corporations deciding how the Department of Transportation regulates them. Anything short of that only signals to the railroads that this type of incident will in fact be tolerated. Let's go to an environmental activist, Aaron Brockovich, also joined in demanding action. Doing better than your predecessor is not enough, ladies and gentlemen. The Biden administration needs to get more involved in this. I agree. We are counting on you to break the chain of administration after administration to turn a blind eye. Step up now. Why are they not stepping up? Corporate interests, the same people that gave money to Trump, gave money to Biden. The same interests are there in this scheme we know as a duality or a political system, a two-party political system. The reality is the reason why we only have two parties is because it makes it simple for corporations to buy them both. If you actually had the variation of political ideology contextualized through a spectrum of belief systems and credible partisan platforms, you would have 88 political parties in the United States of America. It would be very difficult for a corporation to purchase all 88 of them every cycle. So what do? They have this hand in glove relationship. A two-party system is easy to manipulate. You buy them both. That way you win no matter who wins, right? Who loses in that scenario? You and me. We are secondary in the decision-making process, even though we are the ones who hold the right of the vote. Jeff, thoughts here?
I'm glad you took time and made it a point to call out Pete Buttigieg, because we're just months away from his failures and neglect with the airline industry as well. So not going great with him. And I don't want whatever I'm about to say after this to be as if I'm not focusing on Biden either. He's beholden to corporations. He puts profit over people as well. Capitalism has a lot to do with this. However, Charlie Kirk, if anyone has a war on white people, it is Republicans. The governor here in the great state of Ohio is a white man who's a Republican. The two senators here in the great state of Ohio are white men who are Republican. They are neglecting East Palestine too. So I don't know why he wants to be oppressed so bad. Like, just come out and say it. The same reactionary nonsense that they're spitting now is what we've been saying for decades. Environmental racism, they denied that it was an actual thing. And now when it affects rural white people, rural conservative white people, now they have the same thing to say. It's like when black people were complaining about the FBI for 90 years, and then when it impacts them, that's when they want to say something. It's the same thing. You're not oppressed. You're not oppressed. Stop begging for it so much, please.
And it is interesting, the FBI thing only changed, not really when it impacted them, but when it impacted somebody that they loved, Donald Trump. All right, that's when it changed. Okay, we have an indisputable exclusive. This is hard to watch. Here it is.
Sir, put your hands behind your back.
Please.
Put your hands behind your back. Hey.
No.
Put your hands behind your back. Take your hands out of your pocket. Put your hands behind your back. You're not under arrest. Put your hands behind your back.
I will.
Sir.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, put your hands behind your back.
Kev, just chill. Just chill, brother.
Listen to the officer, sir.
Chill, Kevin. Just chill, brother. Chill, brother.
Sir.
You're okay, bro.
We're going to be code 1 for 1 CRT 3. They're going to be in front of 7-Eleven at Weber and
Listen to what we're saying, sir.
We're here to help you.
Put your... Then stop.
Kevin, listen. You're going to be okay.
35, I'm going to go ahead and pull you from that call, and we will get back to it. What I'm doing, and have you cover.
Stop fighting.
All right. Kevin.
426. 3003.
Say something.
All right, roll them over on the side. Now sit them up.
Kev.
Sit them up.
You all right?
Sit them up.
We're going to be code 3. Copy.
Kevin.
Sir.
Breathe for me, Papa. Breathe for me, Kevin. Hey. Hey, brother.
He's got a pulse.
You all right?
He's
You all right,
breathing.
Papa? Okay. You okay,
CRT3.
Chill out, brother.
We have 1 to 10. Go ahead and bring AMR up here for us, please.
They killed him. He was suffering a mental health crisis. They killed him. Put up a picture of him with a smile on his face. A man suffering a mental health crisis wandered into the street in Colorado Springs, Colorado. After he was escorted off the road, responders still attempted to subdue him. He resisted. A coroner's office report says a paramedic and a policeman put the man in restraints that caused his death on November 15th. His name is Kevin Dismong, who died under police and paramedic restraints minutes after they arrived. His wife says in the video that he was under the influence of methamphetamine, which led to the mental health episode. The city released the names of the officers, Sean Reed and paramedic Nicholas Fisher, all right? The responders sent as part of the city's critical response team. They were placed on leave following this incident. Indisputable obtained the El Paso County coroner's report from the family. This was the coroner's opinion signed by 5 medical doctors. It says, and I quote, "It is my opinion that Kevin Dismong, a 63-year-old white male, died as a result of cardiopulmonary arrest in the setting of physical restraint, acute methamphetamine intoxication, COPD and asthma, cardiomegaly and diaphragmatic paralysis, and obesity. This injury was incurred in a police-involved encounter." Now that was signed by 5 medical doctors from the coroner's office. The report continues. It says, comment, "The contribution of physical restraint to the cause of death results in the determination of manner of homicide." Homicide is a classification that a coroner will use to simply say the death was caused by another Homo sapien. That's why it's called homicide, all right? It was caused by the actions of another person. So you cannot avoid the reality of this conclusion. while there were other factors here, the cause of death was because of adverse contact with a cop and a paramedic. That's according to the 5 medical doctors that signed it. All right. The daughter, her name is Kenda. Kenda James spoke directly to Indisputable. Said, and I quote, "I was basically raised as an only child. It was just me, my mom, and my dad. And so we were best buddies pretty much the entire time growing up. And I mean, even up until this happened, really. He was definitely ornery and he was funny. And he had his share of demons, but he was always really good to me. I have 2 daughters and he did anything for them." Put up the team representing this family. You see those fellas? I'm good friends with them both. Those are cats you do not want to see coming. Civil rights attorney Harry Daniels and the big homie, Bakari Sellers, are representing the family. As a matter of fact, Harry Daniels gave me a call directly about this case when he first got it. And it was difficult to hear him explain what happened. Daniels gave this statement to Indisputable. "Mr. D's mom was in the midst of a mental health crisis, begging for his life. And the very people who were sent to help him strangled him to death instead. They were telling him they were helping him at the same time they were killing him." Bakari Sellers also gave a statement to Indisputable. He says, and I quote, "The coroner ruled the death a homicide, and the video makes it clear who did it. Now it's time to hold them accountable." The daughter also works as a paramedic, ironically. Said the critical response team's failures led to her father's death. She told Indisputable, and I quote, "I think the biggest thing that I want to point out is we called them for help. And we called them for mental health help. My mom specifically said that on the phone, that he is not violent. He is not dangerous to anybody else." Let me say this. Yes, you had insensitive people who did not value the life of this man who should be alive today. That is your microcosm comparison. In the macrocosm comparison, what else do you have? You have an overall system who really could care less about dealing with mental health issues in an appropriate and thoughtful manner. Having the right people respond to the right situation, making sure the budget allocates the right amount of money for the right amount of training so that citizens can be protected. How can you engage in a system that's antithetical to the very citizen that funds it? We pay for the systems that typically oppress us. Put up the chief. We got the chief of the Colorado Springs Police Department and the El Paso County Sheriff Joseph Roybal. All right, so you got people in charge, but not in charge. El Paso County homicide detectives did investigate this death as a homicide. Their office has not yet responded to our request about that investigation. The daughter, Kenda James, says she questions the integrity of the El Paso County investigation because the investigators did not speak with her mother, but went off of the Colorado Springs police interview only. The Colorado Springs Police Information Officer, Robert Tornabini, initially told Indisputable, and I quote, "We are not able to comment on anything at this time." He later emailed Indisputable to say his office would issue a comment to us. Where is the damn statement. And I will be clear with you. I don't give a damn what your statement is. We ask you because we are professionals. But the statement that's loudest is the one the cop made and the paramedic made. That's the loudest statement of them all. At some point, remedy has to come from this kind of chaos and tragedy. What policies would change for that local community? What lessons will be learned so that citizens don't have to endure a societal construct that's adversarial to those who may be suffering a mental health challenge? And if we say nothing when they are knocking on our neighbor's door, who's going to say something when they knock on yours? We are stronger together. Coalitions must fight. We must push back. You don't have to accept this as normal. This is anything but. If you believe that this is the way it has to be, you have been sold a lie. You have been told wrong. But you can come out of that indoctrination and realize you still have the power to transform this nation. It is inside of you. Jeff, thoughts here?
Yeah, the loudest statement, the loudest message that there could be is the fact that that police force has no interest, no ability to de-escalate a situation without physical harm. That is their best approach at figuring out ways to fix situations. From what I saw there, from what I witnessed, nothing got escalated to the point that it was dangerous for anybody in that situation. Right. Even with him being in a road, they can stop traffic on both sides until they get this figured out. Were they rushing? Why would they try to do this quickly? I don't understand what's going on with situations like this, because I've known people who have worked in mental health capacities with children and adults who have developmental disabilities and have done these same things, yet weren't wearing Kevlar, don't have weapons themselves, and were able to de-escalate the situation themselves. There is no excuse. Again, the message couldn't be more clear. No matter what they say in email to you, whether it's today or tomorrow in the future, that doesn't matter. I'm glad you already mentioned the fact that you asked that, or asked for a message in a kind of procedural way, because it really doesn't matter. The message has been sent. We don't de-escalate. We, as a crisis response team, only know one way, and that's to hurt people when they should be helping people. So I guess in the future, like, what is somebody else in a similar situation supposed to do? Who do they call in those situations? Hopefully progressives or anyone who has a better idea than policing in this country can figure out what to do for people who have mental health concerns, because we don't have a lot of other alternatives either.
There you go. Well said. Real simple. Bad policy kills people. Good policy saves people. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We have a lot of show left. Okay, let me remind everyone, Progress Report, big corporate newsletter. All want you to believe they've got the inside story. The Progress Report brings you something better. It's called Insight. And no, we don't barrage you with every obsessive development from Trump world. Just what truly matters. And no, we don't light the world on fire over every fringe outrage. Just what truly matters. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to sign up at tyt.com/newsletter. Sign up at tyt.com/newsletter or scan the QR code. I do plan to do some op-eds in that newsletter as well. So make sure you sign up so you can be the first to get this information hot off the press, okay? All right, we got a lot of comments. I'm pressed for time. We'll read as many as I can. Square Peg in a Round Hole says, I wish Sarah Palin would just disappear into the background and stop insulting my senses by being exposed to her voice and her less than intelligent utterances. You know, I'm kind of upset at myself because I have become accustomed to her voice. I mean, you know, nobody's perfect. I Am Sock says, Palin isn't crazy enough for today's GOP. Also, I don't want to do Palin discourse ever again. Listen, she's not, but she will be, okay? She will be. These individuals are willing to play a game called Rush to the Bottom as their leadership model. Next TYT reporter. Paramedic should know better, even more than a police officer. I agree. That paramedic knew what he was doing and needs severe punishment. Investigation is ongoing, but they got the right attorneys on the job, all right? James Thompson, thank you so much. Indisputable. You gifted an Indisputable membership. Thank you for that. Hernie Weber was gifted a membership. Boom, welcome. And let's go to Twitch. Dissident PM says, poor Sarah Palin. She doesn't realize the party has discarded her and moved on. That is correct. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Taking this.
Sir, you know, this is going to cause you a lot of trouble.
I don't give a
I'm videotaping this.
I don't do. Ask me if I care.
Well, I mean, obviously not, but you know, you're going to pay the damages.
Not paying no damages.
Sir, the truck is repossessed. It's on state property now. It's not on your property anymore, so stop it.
Because you took it out of my property.
I was actually not on your property. I was on the street.
It's not on the street.
No, my truck was. I hooked it up by the front tires. So quit it. Hey, stop it. Freaking get away.
No, you get off of me. Okay?
You better get away.
No.
Sir, this is not a winning strategy. I understand the frustration with having your vehicle repoed. I get it. When I was a younger guy, I had an 88 Cutlass. I would have done the same thing if they tried to take my damn 88 Cutlass. Sitting on rallies. All right, put up his picture full mask here. You see, when you engage in a plan, you have to work it all the way out. Because if you are successful, what will actually happen? So let's play a game here. Let's say he is successful at utilizing this axe in order to somehow unhinge the vehicle. And then he drives the vehicle away. Well, where are you parking the vehicle when you come back home? Do you have a storage locker that you plan to go to? Maybe you should have done that before the guy came to the residence. I'm just trying to help you problem solve here. All right. Jeff, you know, it's interesting because I kind of feel bad for the guy. Naturally, no one feels good when that happens to them. Many of us have been in that position before, but that's not the way to handle it.
No, I don't think he thought that out or thought that through. And I would imagine that, for one, we need to give some kudos to the repo person who was really calm about this whole situation, despite the fact that that man had an axe, which I don't understand how that was going to work. But yeah, look, this guy could have very well been, you know, a product of some hardships that were brought about through COVID. Sure, he could have not been paying for a really long time because of hardships from COVID. But I do want to point out that Dr. Richey, with you and your 88 Cutlass, that you, I had it in my mind that, okay, you were playing Southern Playalistic while driving it. Like that was your theme song.
Come on, man.
You would go through and people would hear Southern Playalistic and be like, oh, well, he didn't show up again, he's back. And I'm sad that happened to you, man. But I would imagine life has given you much more than what you've lost in that situation.
There you go. And my 88 Cutlass had a detachable face CD player that you could put in your pocket when you got out of your vehicle. What you know about that?
Woo! Woo! Right.
This Karen tried to cut my client in line at Target.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I want
and
the
back
police
up
right here now.
And back up. And this is all on video.
Exactly, because you thought you were going to get in front of me. Exactly. Who are you talking to?
You.
You're not talking to me.
I am trying to make a return here.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. So why you think you're so entitled? You thought you were going to come and stand in front of me? And then I correct you about what you did. You thought you were going to come and get in my face. We're not doing that today. You did get in my face. And I got it on video. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. I was here first. I came the correct way, like all customers should. She jumped. I'm not talking to you. She jumped in front of me. And this young lady knows she came from this way. And then she said, well, I have a return. Ma'am, I'm already standing right here.
Just get it over with.
Right. Wait, you made a big deal about it.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
You did.
Now stop playing with me. For real.
I can take over here.
Last warning, lady.
Really good.
Last warning.
Refund $31.59.
Okay. Do you need my card?
Do you want it back on your debit card?
You can give it to me in cash.
Cash?
Yeah.
We're done. Can you reset that one? The one, yeah, I put this in.
You got the right one today.
You got the right one today. Let's go ahead and dissect what happened here. You see, in the beginning of the video, you clearly see the Karen in question with her hand very close to the individual who proclaims she was breaking in line. And then immediately afterwards, the Karen in question says, I want the police here right now. Wait a minute. The police? You need a gun? Remember, when you call the police, you're calling a gun. What is the issue that has happened where a gun is required? Nothing. You're just being a Karen, okay? But more and more anti-Karens are emerging, ladies and gentlemen. The lady was having absolutely none of it. Well played. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
It's so typical, Dr. Richey, because the Karens have a playbook. They need to revise it. They really do at this point. They start cackling, dancing crazy like the Sandman needs to drag them off stage. And then they start howling at the moon. And as soon as you call them a junkyard dog, oh my goodness, you've offended them and you're in the wrong and they did everything right. It's pitiful at this point. And yes, she got the right one today.
Yeah, I thought it was well played. I got something for everybody. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Have it videotaped of me doing.
What garbage?
What garbage?
This garbage that is in the front, landing from your trees.
It's landing from my trees.
Yes.
That's exactly
and you
correct.
You're blowing it in my yard. Idiot.
Okay. Listen, I'm only showing this Karen because of that laugh at the end. What she's referring to as garbage are leaves. That's why she says the garbage falls out of your trees. I did check. That is not considered litter. It does not violate the littering ordinance of any jurisdiction in the United States of America. Leaves fall off of trees. They consider that to be a very natural dynamic. But the laugh at the end reveals all. I want to play it again.
Idiot.
Y'all, I'm scared as hell. All right, put up the picture full mass. If your neighbor laughs like that, obviously she's a descendant of the wicked witch of the West. I mean, the laugh, the reason she's complaining. I mean, maybe those leaves are magical leaves. All right, Jeff, thoughts here.
Oh, so maybe she pictured like the leaves falling as like I don't know, like a pre-idea maybe that a house would land on her and her feet would coil back and we would see her socks or anything like that. That's kind of where I'm going. That's not the first time, by the way, she's done that laugh. Like you can't do it that well the first time. She's done that multiple times. And maybe, just maybe in a world where, I don't know, her husband grabbed an axe and tried to hammer his car from the repo man, and she laughed in the background. So maybe we should replay that again in the back to see if that was her, because I think they should be together. Like, they're going through hard times, with the leaves and the repo and everything. Maybe they at least have each other in this world. And so I'm hoping that's what we can bring together with this situation, because otherwise, I'm with you. I am scared.
Yeah. And Jeff, I got to say, dear brother, I appreciate your active imagination there. I like how you put all that together, just made it up. Seemed plausible, though. All right, we got more on the other side. It's Indisputable. Stick and stay. All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these comments. Before I do that, the watch list. Don't forget, new time, new schedule. Watch list with the big homie, Jared Jackson. Weekdays, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Pacific. JR shares his take on stories that you have to pay attention to. News, politics, culture, current events, sports, and more. Subscribe now. YouTube.com/watchlist TYT. All right, a lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. Old Jam says, he was playing Southern Playlist of Cadillac music in that 88 Cutlass like it was his superhero theme song, but it was the superhero theme song.
That's the only song I pictured. I went right there.
It's nothing else. Put that thing on repeat. Yeah. We can spin the block 5 times. All right. Just be anti-racist. I think I'd wish I was there. I think it's what it meant. I would click my red jewel heels together and say, there's no place like home 3 times. Talk about the Karen. All right. Shiva Mehadev. Capitalism sucks, but an axe? I mean, and it wasn't one of those small ones where you could kind of gauge. I mean, this guy had one that had reach on it. All right. All right. Soul Life member for 3 months. All right. We appreciate your support. Hey, Doc, what was the brand of that progressive coffee you recommended a few months back? Stay up, fam. Progressive coffee, that wasn't me. Because I don't have progressive coffee. But I do think you're referring to a promotion that has run here. All right, so we'll try to get you that information. C. Michael Henson gifted 1 Indisputable membership to G. Martinez Mac. All right, thank you so much, C. Michael, and welcome. G. Martinez Mac. Gerald Coaxum upgraded membership to Double Doser. That's what I'm talking about. Very thankful. And Judy Lawrence, member for 6 months, Double Doser. We appreciate you. This is a first. I actually feel sorry for the Axe Repo Karen here. And the Leaf Laugh Karen needs an exorcism. We all scared. I mean, it was scary. I got to say. Scary. And the way production put together the Wicked Witch of the West and it just made it worse. All right. But it was dope, okay? Twitch, the Zen try hard. She should hook up with the Axe guy. He'll take care of that tree. I like how you did that. I like that. You were thinking of that.
Valentine's Day was just yesterday. I'm still in the mood for love and everything, and heartfelt sentiments and everything. Like it's still here.
She could use a guy with an axe because she has a tree problem. All right. Racist man who decided to do things like throw banana peels at his Haitian neighbors. Guess what? He had a bunch of illegal guns and some other stuff. He's getting 9 years in prison. Let's put his picture up full mass here. This is why it is important to look at adverse behavior as a prerequisite to investigate. The Lexington, Massachusetts man named Robert Iverson pleaded guilty to criminal harassment and civil rights violation for repeatedly throwing banana peels at the home of a Haitian family in his neighborhood. Police verified the family's reports that Iverson threw the peels on their property on 30 to 40 occasions over several months. During a police search of his home in connection with the civil rights charge, police also found dozens of illegal firearms, leading to a number of gun charges he also pleaded guilty to this month. Now think about how racist this is. You are literally living dirty. All right, you out here riding dirty, and you're going to just create a crime because of your racism. You know, if they check your home, you're going to prison. But you're so racist, you can't help but to express this criminal racism, risking your very freedom. That is extreme, but it gives you an idea of how evil and deep racism is. This man literally decided to sacrifice his own freedom in order to make people aware that he is a racist man. Damn. There's more. Details of what was found. Lexington police, along with several other government agencies, including the US Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. They recovered approximately 56 pistols and rifles, as well as tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition. Numerous magazines, including large capacity magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Law enforcement also found Confederate, Ku Klux Klan, and Nazi paraphernalia and photographs in his home. So white supremacists, he got white supremacist stuff, all right? Same thing you'll find at Governor DeSantis' home. The police, they go in on the prerequisite of what? The man is throwing banana peels at a neighbor's house while sitting on about 100 felonies. He's inviting the police to his house because of his own racism. 10 months later, in October of that same year, a second warrant was executed. And during the return to Iverson's home, they seized approximately 17 additional weapons, including 10 assault weapons, including AR-15 style rifles with large capacity magazines, and Uzi, and other weapons. All problematic because the suspected white supremacist was restricted from possessing weapons, specifically firearms, since the 1990s after being convicted of earlier gun crime. These convictions caused his firearms license to be revoked. Let me give you details on the charges. Superior Court Justice Lawrence Pierce sentenced Iverson to 79 years, 729, all right, in state prison, followed by 3 years probation. While on probation, he is mandated to have no contact with the victims and their family members. He is also prohibited from owning or possessing firearms, basically the same prohibition he had since the 90s. Dangerous weapons, ammunition, or magazines. Lastly, the defendant will be required to undergo a mental health evaluation and other recommended treatment. Judge, what do you think he was going to do with all of those weapons and all of that ammunition? Do you really believe 7 years is enough time to ensure the safety of the community? And for those who have never heard of this story, keep in mind, I guarantee you, if this was a member of, I don't know, Piru Bloods, or let's say somebody who raps, I guarantee you this would have been a story in your inbox. All right, dear brother, thoughts here.
So this guy is throwing banana peels out the back as he drives along. He is besmirching the good name of Mario Kart. How dare he? Look, I'm glad this man used banana peels instead of that huge arsenal of weapons he has in order to harass his family, because it could have gotten worse. It could have gotten deadly, and I'm glad authorities stepped in when they did. You know, Dr. Richey, the irony of this racism isn't lost on me. And I was looking up primates as you were talking. And here's the thing. This man ate a lot of bananas, is primal and territorial, has the capacity for violence and a display of dominance. He's the ape. I don't know what this racism is about, but if anybody's an ape or a monkey, it's that man. Put him under the jail. Build a zoo for him under that prison. Don't let him out after that 9 years, because this ain't over. He's going to get another large arsenal of weapons and perhaps do something worse. I mean, yes, respect to justice, but come on now, man. He's besmirching Mario Kart.
There you go, man. Fair observation. And I will say this to the judge that said, 7 years, maybe 9 is enough. He has been breaking the law, Judge, since 1990, when the justice system told him not to have one gun. This man decided to have more than 50 or 60 and you think he's going to follow your mandate? All right. A woman attacked her own attorney. Put up the picture, full mass. Quite interesting. 25-year-old Taylor Shabiznes, a Green Bay, Wisconsin woman, was on trial in the gruesome killing and dismemberment of Shad Tharion. Attacked her own attorney in the courtroom after a judge agreed to delay the case, not give her a guilty, not give her a sentence, just delay the case. So she is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault for allegedly attacking Shad Tharion in February 2022. She has pleaded not guilty and not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. Separate from the so-called insanity plea, also yet to be decided, is a defense claim that she is not competent to stand trial. Competency refers to the defendant's ability to understand the court proceedings and assist in their own defense. If deemed competent, the case would proceed. If deemed not competent, the case would be put on hold while she receives additional psychiatric treatment. According to the report, defense counsel Quinn Jolly said this new expert review is not yet complete and asked a judge, Judge Thomas Walsh, for a delay of 2 weeks to finish that assessment. The judge agreed. Immediately after this, according to the report, Shabiznes then attacked Jolly and was wrestled to the ground by a deputy. Jolly is now seeking a motion to withdraw as the attorney, although the judge has not ruled in that matter. The judge probably doesn't like the lawyer. Shabiznes and Tharion both attended and dropped out of the same high school, according to Green Bay Press Gazette. Detectives believe the two met at Tharion's house, took methamphetamine and the antidepressant Trazodone, and then they had a sexual encounter. Shabiznes confessed to investigators that she choked him with a chain after this encounter, discovered he was dead, decapitated his corpse with a bread knife, then removed other limbs, taking some with her and leaving the head behind in a bucket covered with a towel. I know that is very hard to hear, very hard to say as well. A few issues here. Number one, there's a reality, a cause and effect relationship between what we know to be an epidemic in America, drug use, okay, drug abuse, and our avenues available for people to obtain help. Really a horrible system, to be honest. People who have engaged in illegal narcotics and sometimes legal drugs find it very difficult to actually obtain help. It's a mental health issue. Number two, the fact that she did cover it up is evidence of a guilty conscience. Typically, that will always land you in the competency arena. The idea of mental competency has very little to do with your actual mental health state. Many of us have variations of mental health, me included. The idea is, do you know what you did was wrong? Did you engage in behavior that became a catalyst to that wrong? For example, if you decided to drink a lot of alcohol and get inside of your car, you may not remember the accident, but you remembered getting drunk and it could have led to what happened, all right? So this is obviously going to be decided by a court. One of the absolute worst things out of this is that somebody's dead. Somebody's dead and they will be no more. Criminal justice system, in many ways, holistically incapable of actually solving problems, but creating punishment. And hopefully this punishment will be fitting and appropriate. All right, thoughts here.
So I actually have a few questions for you because I'm unsure of criminal justice proceedings. Like, how would her attacking the lawyer be perceived by, I don't know, additional lawyers or the prosecutors, or I don't know, the people who are going to looking at this case and deeming whether she's guilty or innocent?
You know, that's a great question. Number one, it cannot be introduced to her current trial or in her current trial because it would bias the jury. The issue at hand has nothing to do with her being or her attacking the attorney. That would likely be a separate case. Definitely would not be something introduced in the trial. As far as representation is concerned, you have to waive your right to representation. You have this fundamental right. Some judges have tried to say things like, well, if the individual acts in a way that's adversarial to the attorney, then they have de facto waived it. But higher courts have ruled, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to make other provisions. If they do not waive right to counsel, they will have right to counsel, period. It doesn't mean the counsel wants them to have that right for them, because currently the attorney is saying, I need off this case now. That has not been determined. But I have seen scenarios, dear brother, where they literally will allow the defendant to remain in one part of either the courtroom or remain at the jail, and they will watch the proceedings because they are dangerous, or they cart them in a wheelchair, which I think is insane, and have them chained up. That does bias the jury in a significant way because the jury is well aware you are in these shackles in front of us because you've done something to scare your own legal team. All right.
I was just, in my mind, I'm like, if I was in a jury, I'd be like, oh, she just attacked a lawyer. She did that. So I'm glad I know. Thank you.
There you go. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. All right, welcome back. We have a lot of show. Let me read a couple of comments. I am pressed for time. Beautiful comments. Just Be Anti-Racist says, damn, Charlie Kirk was right. There's a war on old white men. Oh, wait. Talking about the racist man that threw bananas at his neighbors, okay? All right, Soul Life member for 3 months. Thank you again. Hey, Doc. Oh, yeah, the brand of the, can we get the name of the coffee? I don't know the name of the coffee. Let's get the name of the coffee. All right, C. Michael Henson, thank you again. Let's go to Trudy Lawrence, member for 3 months, 6 months, excuse me. All right, I got you. Okay, yeah, I already read that one. Yes, I feel sorry for him too on some level, as I mentioned. And Twitch. All right, woman who attacks on lawyers. Dissident PM says, I did not know trazodone has a recreational use. All right. Why do teachers keep doing things like this? A teacher shows a picture of an ape eating a watermelon during Black History Month. How, Sway? Let's put it up. On the 3rd of this month, students attending Bexley Middle School in Bexley, Ohio, saw a photo of an orangutan eating watermelon on a green screen immediately following a Black History Month fact segment during the morning announcements. One of the teachers at the school was responsible for planting the image. Bexley Middle School has 549 enrolled students. About 80% of them are white. 8% identify as Black, according to the Public School Review. The racist image sparked immediate outrage among these young scholars, leading to many protesting outside and students voicing their displeasure at the school district meetings. Some of the parents have now threatened to sue. You see, this is a real problem. This is not fabricated. This is not some kind of fictional dynamic. This is real. This actually happened. The teacher decided to plant an offensive picture during this Black History Month presentation. Fallout following the protest. A week after the racist image first appeared, the unnamed teacher submitted his resignation. School Superintendent Jason Fine said the resignation was effective immediately. The unnamed teacher will not be permitted in any classroom buildings or work with any students. Now, here's what I'm going to ask, since the school district did not release the name officially. I want to make sure, now I'm not saying I don't trust the school system, but I kind of don't. I want to make sure this individual who did this particular action never works around children. So if you would, please kindly go ahead and leak the information right here to Indisputable so we will know who it is. All right, thank you. Jeff, thoughts here?
You know, the last 2 or 3 times I was fortunate enough to host this show, y'all gave stories of racism that happened in and around the city I love, which is Columbus. And for those who do not know, Bexley is a wealthy suburb within the Columbus city limits. So that gives you an idea of the demographics that Dr. Richey stated earlier. It is no surprise to me personally that this happened in that school district, but how blatant it was, that kind of throws me off, as if no one was going to catch on to this or say anything is crazy. And reading the article that you all used, shout out to the middle schoolers. We're talking 11 to 14-year-olds who caught it instantly and knew and recognized that this is not only a problem, it's a racist problem. And they signaled it to their parents and they did what they needed to do, which was protest until this individual is gone. And hopefully he will never be back. But we both know, Dr. Richey, he will be in somebody's school district somewhere in the future.
The irony of this, in Florida, if you are a school teacher, you bring in a Winnie the Pooh book that has not been approved, you can get charged with a class 3 felony. Your name will be made public. If you do racist things that harm the psychological development of actual students under your care, you get to be nameless and sent home. All right. Dear brother, always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, you can follow my work or watch my work on Rebel HQ weekdays. And I also have a YouTube channel called We Gonna Be All Right.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure. We got more on the other side. The bullpen is next. Stick and stay. All right, let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have him back, Mr. Grayson Quay. He's now news editor at the Daily Caller. Mr. Quay, congratulations to your promotion. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Richey. It's a pleasure to be back.
Pleasure to have you here. We're going to talk about the rising opposition inside of the GOP for president of the United States. Many are now coming out saying they are going to run against Donald Trump. Trump, as of earlier this week, was the only person to announce he's running for president. All right, only one. Now, Nikki Haley has said she's running. Sarah Palin has basically said she wants to be a VP pick of Donald Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants that same job with Donald Trump. Governor Ron DeSantis wants to also run president of the United States, but him scared to say it. All right, I don't want to presume what you know, believe about these items, sir. So if you would, give us your sentiment, I will then opine.
Well, I think it's shaping up to be interesting. Regardless of any preferences, it's certainly going to be good content. I think basically we're looking at 3 different categories of candidates. You have Trump himself, you have, and then people who are kind of vying to be the Trump candidate. I would put DeSantis in that category. You have people who are looking to co-opt aspects of Trump's legacy while putting some distance between themselves and him. I would put Pence if he runs, Pompeo if he runs, and now Nikki Haley in that category. And then I think you're looking at people who are going to try to position themselves as the anti-Trump candidates, who I would say have no chance of the nomination. Someone like Larry Hogan or Chris Christie.
What about Senator Tim Scott? He's an interesting dynamic here, all right? He has no chance of winning the Republican primary in this atmosphere. And it's not because he's a black senator, partly because he's a black senator in the GOP. But there's also this dynamic of his why. According to his exploratory committee, I would say. He wants to run on a message of unity and hope and coalition building. Would you agree, dear brother, that is simply not where the GOP is currently?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. They want the base wants a bare knuckle brawler in there for sure.
What do you think happens? Pence, I think, will get in. Obviously, Trump is in. DeSantis may, he may bow out. I'm not sure, but I think Pence is in. What kind of dynamic do you think that presents for those who are voting in the Republican primary? Now, let me preface this. Most Republicans are not hardcore Trumpites. Most of them are not. But if you get Pence, Nikki Haley, and a couple other people, that splits that particular base. Trump has an opportunity to consolidate. And the way we run Republican primaries, it's a plurality. It's not about 50% plus one. It is really about who can consolidate the most consistently. And Trump in that scenario, in my opinion, would be able to consolidate more consistently than these others. What are your thoughts on that?
So I actually wrote about this in a column I did recently. In 2016, Trump has a lock on about a third of the Republican base in the early primaries. Of the first 15, he wins 10. He only breaks 40% 3 times.
Yep.
Now, if you took Cruz, Rubio, and Kasich and combined all the votes they got in those first 15 primaries, that candidate would have won 14 of them. So the votes were there to beat Trump in 16. They just didn't all go to the same person. And several of the people in Trump's orbit actually talked to the Washington Examiner back in December, and they said basically nothing has changed. He has a lock on about a third of the Republican primary electorate, and the rest are willing to consider someone else. The question is, are they all going to vote for the same person? And if we end up with a crowded field, that answer is probably no. The only person I think right now who can beat Trump is DeSantis, but he needs to figure something out with these other candidates and get them out of the race before Super Tuesday.
DeSantis doesn't believe in himself, I believe. I think he's hesitant to really swing back at Trump because he's afraid of what the backlash can be. I agree with you in sentiment. I actually believe DeSantis can beat the guy in a Republican primary when he actually engages, does debates, travels. I don't like DeSantis. I don't like his politics. I think he would be a more effective, let's say, bad policy presenter than Donald Trump. Donald Trump was sloppy. So I don't want either one of them. But there tends to be this, for lack of a better word, professionalism with DeSantis that did not exist with Donald Trump. But let me ask you this, because not many people are talking about it, brother. What about a Trump and DeSantis ticket? And I'm saying this because Sarah Palin said, hey, I see DeSantis as a presidential candidate later, not now. Well, usually that route will be the VP, later becomes president. We already know Trump wanted Mike Pence to be killed. Who would actually support this ticket? Probably everybody in the Republican Party. Why do you think that has not been a conversation? You literally have Trump, DeSantis. That's probably the unbeat. You can't beat that ticket in the GOP. Why has that not been discussed?
Well, I don't think Trump likes DeSantis very much. I think it's as simple as that.
You think he likes Pence, brother? Wait a minute, brother. You think he likes Pence?
Well, he doesn't like anybody Pence anymore.
Right.
I don't think Trump picked Pence back in 2016 as an olive branch to the evangelicals who were worried about voting for a foul-mouthed, twice-divorced adulterer. I don't think that he's particularly interested in making that move again. I think he's won those people over pretty well. So I think for his VP this time around, he's going to pick somebody who is A, extremely loyal to him, and B, who can get out there and be an attack dog for him.
I believe Trump is not going to pick a white male. No matter which way he goes, I don't think he picks a white male. Do you disagree with me?
I'm not sure about that. I'd have to think through the candidates. I could see it being someone, like you said, like maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene or something, or at least Stefanik, perhaps.
Yeah, very sad state of affairs, brother. All right, I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your insight.
Pleasure was mine.
All right. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.